where the blame goes around, I mean, listen, Stuart Skinner, I think, played good.
I thought he was solid until he wasn't.
Well, and we'll talk about that, I guess. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Skinner. Chris Knobloch. Early in the Canucks series, what did we criticize him for? Why are you running out Nurse and Ceci still? And in game one, when you blew it, and in game, whatever the other game was where he should have called the timeout, we're sitting there going, why are you have timeouts. Use your timeouts. And then what did we get by the end of the series? He was changing up the D pairings, and they looked serviceable. They played good. He used a timeout when they really needed it in game 7, and it worked. It calmed down that team. They didn't give up a shot after the timeout, or if they did, they gave up one.
Yeah.
And then what do we get last night? You throw Nurse and Ceci out early in the second period, and they get caved. That was the first bad shift. Nurse made a bad read. Nurse couldn't control his gap at all. He gave Jason Robertson. They're lucky Jason Robertson didn't score 6 goals yesterday. Jason Robertson could have scored his first one on that play where he comes in down close to the camera side, so the near side, and Nurse is almost, his feet are almost at the blue paint. And you're just thinking, like, what are you doing right now? It's so confusing to try watch him defend off the rush. Robertson gets that chance, and the Oilers never get momentum back. So you would think, okay, first period, Nurse, Desharnais, Kulak, Ceci, very good. First couple games of this series, very good. There were moments in the first couple of games of the series, he went back to Nurse and Ceci, bad.
Yes.
So he goes back to Nurse and Ceci in that shift in the second, and it's terrible. And what does he do? Plays those two players almost, I mean, Ceci number 1 in 5-on-5 minutes, Nurse number 3. Bouchard's right in the middle of it too. So how, as a coach, great numbers here from Zach Lang. Nurse and Ceci, 852 of 5-on-5 time on ice. Shot attempts 13-8 for Dallas. Goals 1-0. Expected goals 0.86 to 0.11. Scoring chances 8-1. Awful. Nurse and Vinny also were not good. But we know Nurse and Ceci are an absolute tire fire. They cannot be trusted with not even second pair minutes. When they're on the ice together, they can barely be trusted with third pairing minutes.
Yeah.
You go to them, it immediately turns terrible. You move away from them for a couple shifts and then go back to them for the rest of the game. How that is the read that is made by Chris Knobloch is stunning when he made the right decisions last round. You give up 2 goals, bang, bang. Yeah. Last time your team gave up 2 goals, bang, bang against Vancouver, you called the timeout and it calmed your group down. And it let McDavid and Draisaitl reset a little bit. Your stars could go out and start pushing momentum the other way. And then your depth guys can swim from there. They're not going to keep drowning. What are you doing, man? I think he's a good coach. And I think all this rookie head coach, he's coached in the AHL and the OHL long enough. The scenarios you're in are the same.
Hockey.
It's still hockey. When your OHL team gives up back-to-back goals, you should have learned the lessons then that you call a timeout and calm those kids down. When your AHL team gives up back-to-back goals, you should know by now to calm things down with a timeout. End the run. Why don't you do that? So I saw a lot of people yesterday on Twitter. I saw a lot of people in the post-game with Aaron yesterday. Skinner. How about literally anybody effing else?
Well, the thing is, too, that, like, don't get me wrong, Skinner, we'll talk about Skinner, whatever. I actually think he made some good saves last night. There was that breakaway one, which would have made it 4-2, I believe.
We have the clip. Mason Marchman comes in. Makes a great move.
He had a good save, too, towards the end of the second period. But, yeah, there's such a really, really good save to his credit.
And again, not even like a lucky guy didn't put it where he wanted.
No, he made the save.
He read this perfectly.
Yeah, but just on the CC nursing too, like we saw it firsthand when we were in Dallas. It would have been game 2, and it's just pure chaos. Like, I don't know what comes over the two of them. It's like they have a hive mind when they play together that just has nothing to do with each other. Like, they just don't read off each other well at all. Like, they both want to pinch. They both want to be up. Like, neither of them want to defend correctly, or they don't know where the other one's going to be. But the good part about having Nurse with Vinny and Kulak with Ceci is when Nurse or Ceci and those parents want to go up and kind of make that pinch, at least those other 2 games are a bit more defensive minded to like bring it back there, you know? So, yeah. But one thing I didn't like last night was that top line was out there for the first 2 goals against. And the second one was just pure chaos again. Like
McDavid, how he doesn't get his stick on that Robertson shot, it's effort.
And his guys falling around. It was just pure panic. So just to go to the Knobloch thing too, like you probably call a timeout right after this goal. And like, look, everyone's just falling. Like to me, it's complete, just out of sync at that point. It's like this team is not where they are. They had played really well in the first period, and Dallas weren't the best road team in the league by fluke. They have been in this situation many times before on the road where they've had to come back and win games, or at least drag themselves back into the game. They have endless star power, and Jason Robertson has kind of been a non-factor the first two games. And the Oilers, you know, you can say you woke him up, whatever. Like, eventually, he was probably going to find a way, either way we look at it, whether the Oilers helped him or not. But like, that goal for me, if I was Knobloch or even like Gulletson, Stewart, Coffee, go up to Nobby and be like, hey, like, probably a good time to call a timeout here.
Hey, Nobby, the guys are kind of losing it right now. Might want to calm them down.
Let's tighten it up here. And you know what? Like, Nurse was bad in certain moments yesterday. Don't get me wrong. But like, when the last game, I think would have been game 7, there was points when people were coming out and saying he did a really good job of actually getting the guys together as well and being like, hey, like, we've been here, we've done this, let's chill out, everyone calm down. It's like, you need guys to step up and do that as well. But sometimes in the flow of the game, it's like not everyone's really listening to you as well, right? And I know that was more in the TV timeout, but either way, like a stoppage, like can just help your group breathe for a second.
And again, people saying, what does Nurse bring? What does Nurse bring? Why does Nurse have an A from Eric Richards? It's not a clown joke. He's a part of that core. The guys like him in the room. He's a vocal leader. And I'll tell you, I think he's the vocal leader. I don't think there's a whole lot heck of else in that room where a whole lot of guys were stepping up and going, enough of the shit.
Yeah.
So I do think he's a leader in that regard.
I do too.
And I can at least I can point to a couple of things that Darnell Nurse does and go, I like that. I like what goes on there.
Yeah.
With Cody, and
unfortunately, most of them are off the ice.
Sure. With Cody, Ceci, Liam, this team their season will end at some point.
Yes.
It might end with a Stanley Cup still, right? We're in the conference final. You're only down 2-1. You win the next one is 2-2, best of 3. Let's go. We'll be right back and fired up. And tomorrow will be a much more positive edition of this show. But this team's season will end at some point. The biggest positive will be that I never have to look at Cody Ceci wear an Oilers jersey ever again. And wherever he goes, he'll get a contract. He'll go to Pittsburgh for $1.25 million or some shit somewhere. I won't watch when that team comes to Edmonton. I never want to see him ever again. I almost, when he's on the ice now, I want to close my eyes and just be like, I'm done with this. This is terrible. But there's nothing. There's not an ounce of positivity.
But do you agree that he's just different when he doesn't play with Nurse? And I don't know if that's a Nurse problem, a CC problem, whatever it is. He actually looks like better when he's away from,
because he's with someone who's steadier in Kulak.
Yeah.
So the mistakes don't compound. The problem with the two of them together is like bad read, odd man rush. This defenseman can't skate. This defenseman is still at the offensive blue line. They're hemmed in the zone. This guy can't read a cycle or break it up to save his life. The other guy can't move fast enough to catch anyone on the other team. It's just like boom, 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 banging pots and pans together and running around the kitchen blindfolded.
Yeah.
Like,
so double underscore A. There you go. Says, where the fuck? So is DC the problem or is Nurse the problem?
The point of this whole thing that we're doing for the last 15 minutes is that Darnell Nurse is not the only problem. Cody Ceci's not the only problem. Stuart Skinner's not the only problem. Chris Knobloch's not the only problem. The depth on the forward group is not the only problem. The Stars deciding to mail it in because they had a good first 20 minutes is not the problem. There were a lot of problems last night, everybody.
Last night specifically, yeah.
That is the problem. What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.